You just keep playing.
Yeah, no, I think this is a good time to do the setups because we can do testing.
Testing.
One,
What's
two,
going on?
three.
What's going on, guys? Back at it again with another podcast. We're out here with the new setup.
Trying to like test new shit, new fucking hair, whatever.
Are we? I'm not recording it.
I'm not like not the video yet. So I'm just like trying to set up. But like this is a good test so that
And we should stop it at like 10 minutes and see what it sounds like.
Absolutely.
Maybe.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is really cool though. This is the ideal podcast setup.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
And you have like a mirror behind you too, right? So like that makes like the light actually pop.
Yes.
So yeah. Okay, awesome. Let's do this shit.
Okay.
I'm just gonna let this play out.
Should we clap sync once?
Yeah.
You go. Nice. Hopefully the mic picked that up. It probably did.
I think so, it did.
Yeah. So I only have 48 minutes on my phone, I guess, because of my memory space. We better cover all those episodes we lost real quick.
So yeah, I mean we shot we recorded 5 videos in total so far, but episode 3 and episode 5 we lost essentially due to
we've been having technical issues, but you know what? After doing this for so long, this is just something that happens for no matter what. Like people think obviously the editing and the all the stuff that comes with it, you know, like the concepting and all that stuff is hard, but you'd be surprised how much time and effort goes into just literal technical difficulties. Like I was doing the pixel art stuff. It was pretty funny. Like literally just from the drive, like I didn't even do anything. It was working, and then the drive from my house to Zach's house, and I was just checking to see if it worked. Still something, I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Something happened. I don't know, something happened. It didn't work. Now it's broken, so I had to start a whole new project, which is okay because I didn't do that much. But it's like I have this thing that I believe, like for fun, that it's like if you know when you have 2 wires, one's for your phone and one's for like your computer or something, and they're just sitting next to each other. If you just leave them sitting next to each other, not entangled, and you come back a day or 2 later, they're going to be entangled for some reason. You didn't even touch them, you just left it. You just close the drawer. I shouldn't even test this. You put 2 wires next to each other in a drawer, you don't even open the drawer, and you come back next week, they're going to be entangled. There's something about the universe that just, what is this, it's quantum entanglement.
No, but there is, I forget whose law it is, but everything that can
Murphy's Law?
Yeah, Murphy's Law, yeah. Everything that can go wrong does. But I think what we've decided essentially is to let that pass, and episode 4 is now episode 3.
So we're just going to repeat ourselves over and over and over,
but
because we don't know what was in the, I'm not going to go watch our episode. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, but like, I mean, I was thinking about this. Our values and our beliefs, our thoughts don't really change as much, or the content that we speak about wouldn't really change as much, because I mean, we don't really plan like, oh, this is what we're talking about. We just like come in, it's like, okay, are we potting today? Okay, cool, we're potting. Okay, what's the topic? And then we'll pick something up and start speaking, right? So
it's funny because I'll come in with like a topic or two, but literally off of one topic, we just fill up the 40 minutes of just natural conversational, like going through different things. So it's nice, but I'm trying to remember what we talked about in the other ones that I would like to bring up, but
I have a topic to talk about today.
Let's go. I'm ready.
So it's been a year. I have had Saya. This is a great opportunity to show Saya.
Oh yeah, it's the first time we're doing video.
Yes, so this is Saya.
This is the noise in the background. All technical difficulties are Saya's fault.
But yes, so this creature got her like a year ago, and what I want to talk about is the necessity of pets in life, I guess, because a lot of people will find reasons to keep away from having a pet. It's just like they delay that decision, and I was one of them. I'm guilty of that as well. And I think the amount of positivity it brings to a human being is just enormous.
Well, it's on a different level because
Yes.
obviously they're not the same thing. But it reminds me of like Louis C.K. has that joke about having kids.
Oh yeah.
Right, it's the
Yeah.
same thing, right?
Yeah,
Where he's
yeah.
like, she's made me a better person. I can love deeper, and I appreciate people in general. And but I regret everything that led up to her birth. Kind of, just like there's such a change, and I understand this is why a lot of people why they have kids too, or at least they realize after they had a kid the dramatic change. And like me prospectively thinking about having kids. I think about that a lot because like your life is changed dramatically. Not necessarily like good or bad. There's lots of good. Not necessarily like all bad, but your life is no longer your own. For example, right? Like you're now number one, top of the list priority if you're a good parent, hopefully, right? is your kids' well-being.
Yes.
And so you can no longer really be as selfish as you used to. You can like focus on the other things if that child is not at the state that you want them to be, which again, if you're a good parent, like they're at the highest priority, right? And that's not something that people are always ready for when like they think about having kids, or that's why it's taking so many of us, especially millennials, so long to have kids sometimes, because we're not necessarily ready to give up that freedom and like I can just go on vacation whenever I want kind of thing, or I can just and I think like having pets is obviously not to the same extent, but there's something similar about that, like but I think it's funny, like you say, how people delay it. I think that's part of the reason why, but it's also interesting how I myself, like we live in the city, the first world, where it's like it's just if you don't run into pets, if you don't like deal with pets, like maybe your friend has a pet, but other than that, like you don't really like. When I first dealt with my ex-girlfriend, her cat at the time, I didn't have like no experience with close vicinity with cats. You see a cat on the streets about it, but then when I like had to live with the cat, the first like couple months, or like not even probably like the first just week in there or whatever, it was a little weird because you're like, I don't know how cats react. And it's funny because I volunteer at the cat sanctuary once a week, and I was talking to some of the people there, and they have it's funny because the people, like what they say about dogs is the exact same thing people that don't know about cats will say about cats. They're like, I can't tell, like I feel like a dog, like you can be chill, and then like suddenly we have no idea.
Yes.
Like you don't know if they'll just get mad at you and just snap.
Yep.
And I was like, that's what I used to think about cats, because I had more experience with dogs before and had no experience with cats, because I thought, and it's funny because I actually think cats are still kind of like that, but like, because you can just be playing with them and then playing turns into like suddenly you're fighting and you're kind of like, what the hell happened? I thought we were just playing. But again, like once people have kids, most of the time, same thing with pets, is they're so like, my life is so much better and like I'm just a better person.
It is
and
true.
it's
though.
true.
Yeah.
But I can see how there's still that hesitation beforehand to like jump in, because there's a commitment and responsibility, and there's a lot of like, you said this too, like you're worried about it before you got the dog.
Yep,
It's like there's
absolutely.
a lot of like pressure, or like their whole well-being depends on you, and that's a lot of like to take on, right?
Absolutely.
You feel responsible and stuff like that, and so that's
if
why.
you're a good human being, you want to feel that responsibility, and you want to take that decision with weight, right? Like it's not a light decision to make.
No.
But because we think of it as heavy a decision as that, I think we delay that choice, and I think that is to our own detriment. Like I think the sooner I had done it, the better it would have been, because the past year and like the 33 before that, like it's day and night, right? Like I feel the difference. And again, I think I like going back to the point that you were talking about how like people think about cats and dogs, or rather when they talk about it without knowing the other, it's very similar, is because I think we personify our pets. We personify all beings around us, and then that's why we're like, like I think Saya sometimes is more like a cat, right? Like I'm just like, because she loves to like perch on like the window and like check out the view and like what's going on outside is very interesting to her. Again, I don't know whether all dogs do that or not, but I presume they do, like all animals do, right? But I think we tend to personify like pets, and that is why sometimes some of us are not the best pet owners, because that's also true. Like one of the reasons why we don't have like the best pet owners or the best behaved pets is because the owners themselves don't know that yes, it is an animal, but like I shouldn't be personifying them like that. Like I care about that creature, but personification and then assigning human values. Like one of my friends, they have a dog, and she's like, "Oh, I don't want to put the dog in the crate because then it's like how, like it's alone in there." But it's like no, that's like it's safe space, right? Like it's how you look at it, right? If you wanted to put a human being in a cage, that's fucked up. But like for a dog, like giving them enclosed space that is fair for their size makes complete sense, because within that space they feel comfortable. They feel like, okay, this is my zone, I'll do whatever the F I like here. Like if there is an earthquake or something like that, they'll go there. That's their spot. They know they're going to be safe there. And if when there's a vacuum running, like she'll run there. It's like it's their safe spot. It's not going to be like fucked up when there is like an emergency and I have to go find her under the bed, right? So like those kinds of things I think is because we personify animals and then like not really keep them well, which is why you hear like people like surrendering pets or like there being a problem with pets, and again like those things then weigh in on the decision about getting a pet as well, right?
I think to me when I think about the biggest issue when it comes to surrendering your pet or like not being a good pet owner, that can be like a part of it because like, but that's also potentially like a better owner because like they're thinking about the pet in a human way to a fault, like you're saying, to the extent of like no cat, like for example cats can kind of just live in the same room slash house area and they don't need to go outside. A lot of cats are very curious and will go outside, but some don't. Some need like a small space and they're cool with it. But as a human, obviously that's not like you wouldn't want to just live in the same room as a human, and so that can lead to potentially like slightly like miscarrying of a pet, I suppose. But I think the biggest problem when it comes to like pet stuff is when they don't take like that decision very seriously. So you see this a lot where, especially with dogs, because like from all the like research that I've done, and people have told me and stuff like that I think like dogs need this structure, right? They need this like you're the alpha person leading the pack, telling them what to do, when to do it. You got to be like very strict about those things, especially even on like a practical level, because it's like if you don't come here right now, like if let's say your dog runs out in the middle of the street or something, like you get the fuck over here right now or you're gonna get run over by a car, or like you jump on someone and something happens and then they're like, oh my god, they don't like dogs, whatever, something happens, like their whole well-being depends on you, which again, with all the research we've done and all the stuff I'm sure you guys have seen with the dog whisperer and all this stuff, whatever, it requires you to be the pack leader. It requires you to be very strict, like do this, do that, and I think to a certain extent, like pets, at least dogs specifically, I'm thinking of dogs specifically, they kind of, a lot of them need that because it's like healthier for them, otherwise they're stressed out. So versus there's those, like, here's one example that I always think of is like the family that's just like, let's get a dog because the idea of having a dog is so cool. Like, oh, we need a family dog. I'm sure there's so many of those examples. But they never really took, and this actually extends to humans too, having kids, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Where they're just like, let's just have a kid. Anyway, we'll stick with the dog example, but just imagine this as a kid as well. So
it applies to a lot more.
Yeah, all kinds of things. Anyway, so you're like, let's just, we're gonna have a dog. We're gonna have a family dog. It's gonna be great. The kids, and you just imagine the best parts of like, we're playing with the dog. It's so cute, and it's just fun all the time, and they come and snuggle with you. But you're not thinking about what it actually takes to be a dog owner. Is it actually takes a lot of effort. Like this is why we don't take these decisions. People that think about this like very lightly, because you're like, I need to train it. Absolutely. It needs to listen to me. I need to be on time with certain things. I need to be aware of certain things. If it's healthy or not healthy. Do I have to go to the vet? When do I do this? What's a good time to do this? How do I train them? How do I potty train them? What's good for them? Is this good for them? Is that bad for them? Whatever. That's like a better owner than I know a lot of. You see a lot of these, basically, when you see a dog, that everybody's had this. You walk by the house or whatever, you go to someone's house, and the dog just no discipline at all. They're just running around, barking, jumping on you, and then the best you get from the owner usually is just like, no, stop, no, stop, and you're just like, this isn't, clearly this is not working. The recall's not good. They're not listening to you. They don't give a shit. They're just all bouncing off the walls. There's no like leader. They're just all over the place.
So again, because you said, about the research, I did mine before I got Saya, and what I found from the material is that this idea of alpha is not very accurate. It's not really that you need to be an alpha, but what you need to be is you need to be clear about setting boundaries. It's like, you can do this or not, right? Like what you build off of is a base of yes or no, especially for dogs, and then
I guess whatever the word, like we're getting specific about the words here.
Yes.
All I mean is you have to be an authoritative figure that decides those things.
Yes, you are deciding how it is able to function in this world, because it's not trained to function in the urban world.
No.
Right? Like it's not.
It's not a dog's world.
Yeah, it's not a dog. It's clearly not, world. Right? Like it's clearly a human world, and it doesn't understand what human rules are. So for it to be able to live in this environment appropriately, and I hope nothing bad happens to her. I have to be able to put the boundaries and give her the discipline that she needs, so that she understands what she is and is not able to do.
It's so funny because like when like there's a crazy kid running around the scene, like, where the fuck the parents?
Yeah.
Where are the parents?
Yeah.
What do you train your kid? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. Should we check that thing, by the way?
Yes. No, this is a great.
Okay, we'll take a quick break to see if the audio is not fucked up.
I'm gonna pause.
Oh, I just stopped it. Fuck.
Oh yeah, I mean I can pause, so.
I can too. I just.
Okay, and we're back.
Should we clap again? How come I deleted some clips and then I guess I thought I emptied my trash can too, but I guess I didn't get any more minutes out of that.
That's okay.
That's okay. Okay, so I have 35 minutes.
Oh, yeah. No, so I think we're back, and I think we didn't fuck up anything other than sounding like we are in the toilet, but
so I was gonna fix that.
Yes.
We won't. When you're listening to this right now, we're hopefully not in the toilet.
Yeah.
At least the visuals look good, right? We got this nice camera
so I think with the visuals you will know that we're not in the toilet. Without the visuals you would probably have thought we were in the toilet, but obviously I had to fix the audio.
Some people think there's good audio in the washroom, like when they record their vocals.
So I mean, are you talking about musicians? Because there's reverb, and they are looking for reverb. Because I remember Adam, like Janice used to go in like.
They're going for that sound.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He used to go into the stairwell.
Yeah, we're just going for that sound.
Yeah.
That's kind of like our podcast. That's our unique thing that sets us apart. Is we sound like we're in the washroom.
I think when we're recording it, by the time we produce it, I hope there's nothing of that nature.
Hopefully not. Hopefully we sound like all the other podcasts out there. No, I'm just kidding. Right.
Oh my god! Like I think this would be like the perfect segue for that.
That clip.
Yeah.
So that's what I think. Yeah, that's so true. I'm really glad you brought that up. I think this is really important. And if I can just speak about this for a minute, because I've really been thinking about this quite a lot. And here's the thing, right? Here's when it all comes down to it, and we like really begin to understand, like, this is what I think, but this is why we have you on. It's my opinion. But so my friend works at the New York Times, right? Oh, nice. Yeah. And so this is what I think. There's a lot of conversation and there's a lot of dialogue around the subject without really dissecting and understanding the subject. And I think what we really need, and I've said this before, I've said this on my podcast, if people want to check that out as well, but we'll put the link in. I think what's really important is that we generate more conversation around, what we're doing right now. Yeah. This kind of, like, it's so important. No, for sure. It's so important. It really is. Like, we need
people making fun of podcasts so much, especially because of COVID. I guess a lot of people started new podcasts or whatever. Like, they're like, so I saw one meme that was like musicians are. Like the musician on one hand is like, is anybody gonna listen to this, right? And then but then you have podcasters on the other side like, yeah, I ate a sandwich today, and they're like, wow, that's amazing.
Well, you know what Gary Vee would say? If the musician's worried, like, contact the podcaster and like get him to feature your music, right?
If the podcaster is any good, if you want to.
Yeah, if the podcaster is any good, and if like the musician's any good as well, right? Like, both have to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, both have to be a match, but obviously.
But in the context of being worried about that stuff, like, obviously Gary just like, no, just make content, just post it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just post it if you know it's good enough. That's the thing, is like, there's those examples.
Absolutely.
Where like you're trying all kinds of things for over and over and over, and then eventually maybe you just get a hit. That's the thing. It's funny. So here's a funny segue into that too, where I bought an Oculus Quest 2 off Facebook Marketplace, and then the guy that I bought it off was a game developer by chance. I don't know if I mentioned that to you. So that was kind of cool. So I was picking his brain because I'm trying to do game development stuff as well. But I think a lot of people have this same, if they don't, because he's a freelancer, and all he does is like make games. Like he has a whole studio of stuff where he can do all the things. He can make a game himself. And so that's really cool. I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'll try to keep in touch with him, which I've been trying to message him and stuff like that. So
Sick.
But like a lot of people that don't know much about it, they're like, oh, it's all about marketing, right?
Yeah,
like it's all about marketing. But it's like, it's not that he's wrong, it's just he doesn't understand it. Like a lot of people don't, right?
Yep.
So I try to talk about it in the podcast and stuff, like, the stuff I learned from Gary and the stuff I see, and it makes sense, the way they talk about it, right? So there's a clip in the vlog I did with Zach where I'm talking about, people always like, how do you get more views and how do you get more likes and stuff like that? And that's why there's people, like a lot of people think there's that way of like, ask all your friends and everybody, like, can you like watch it and like, can you just do me a really big favor and like my video, please? Like, it'd just be great. It'd mean a lot to me. Thank you so much. I'm not saying don't do that, right? Like, you can totally do that. But I mean, a good analogy, just very quickly, if I want to sum this up, is like a guy trying to pick up a girl. It's the same thing. It's like, I mean, it can happen, right? You can be like, please go out with me. Please go out with me, please. Right? Like,
or like a business person trying to pitch like an idea to a VC.
But that gets
yes.
That's blurrier. This is more obvious. Like, I think the dating,
very clear.
The dating thing is a lot more relatable to like the average person, because not everybody has the business thing.
Fair enough.
Right?
Fair enough.
But you imagine like a dude like begging a chick to go out with him, and you've seen that it works. Sometimes it works, right? But in general, like if you do want to be, again, this is based on talent and stuff too, and this is why a lot of marketers, Gary Vee is like, just put out a lot of stuff, because any one of your things could be a hit at any point, right?
Like the what's the guy, the skateboard guy with like the.
Neistat? Casey Neistat?
No, skateboard guy with like he was drinking like I forget what he was.
Oh
drinking.
yeah.
That TikTok.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. And he's that song.
Yeah, exactly.
But
yeah,
anyway,
it brought up like Ocean Spray, like that.
Ocean Spray, that's what. Ocean Spray. But do you, like, for example, do you think, I don't know, like Drake or somebody, do you think he's begging? I mean, no. Drake's different because Drake's gotta gets in his fields, but someone of like high like value, I guess,
extreme
right?
high value.
And I'm not saying you should sit here and that's the other mistake that people make, right? Is they think they're all that. Like they start with they think they have value, right? So I always give this example. I think I've already even talked about it in the podcast before, but it just stuck with me so much because it's to me it's just a really, really bad way to go about things. Like you have it completely backwards. Is I was going to I think we did talk about this. I went to the convention at PAX for game conventions, like video games.
Yeah, I mean, but you might need to repeat it anyways because you might have lost.
Me and Zach and my buddies, we went to this game convention, PAX, and you just, you go and you get check out all the new games and all that stuff. Outside the convention center, there's these guys trying to sell people their CDs, basically their mixtapes, their rappers, I guess. And I'm like, that's fine, whatever. But they're like getting in my way, like standing in front of, like trying to walk in front of me and be like, hey, almost like a homeless person trying to like ask for money. They're like, but they have a I almost prefer a homeless person to ask me for money than this guy coming up and be like, hey, yo, do you want to buy my CD? Because I'm like, okay, first of all, you don't even care about me. You don't care that I'm here for the convention. You're in my way trying to sell your CD to me. And then Brad was nice. The guy was one of my buddies was nice enough to be like, hey, yo, I have a couple bucks. I mean, like, if you really, and I'm like, even me, that was like, that's crazy to even, right? And the guy's like, yo, I worked hard on this. Like, he was offended that Brad would only give him like $2-3 for it. But it's like, dude, you're in my way.
Yeah.
Like,
you should be giving this out for fucking free.
Like, I don't know. Yeah. So, but again, that's what I'm saying is one of the mistakes is you start with the self-importance of like, I'm a rapper, yo.
Yeah.
Like I work hard on my music.
Yeah.
Like wait till I'm big, you're gonna regret it. You're gonna remember when you were outside that convention center and you didn't buy my CD and I made it big. But I'm like, I don't know if like unless you're incredibly talented and your music is like amazing out of nowhere, which I know like especially musicians, I know that's one route that happens very often is you have a hit song or something like that and it just pops off and then all of that stuff doesn't matter anymore because that one song went crazy.
True, but like most of those people are putting their shit out even for free. Like,
But I think in the long term, the thing that lasts the most but doesn't have necessarily the most upfront results, because people always think of likes and follows as like the actual results, which we'll get to that in a second, but it's the brand or the reputation or whatever you want to call it of you as a person, right? Because you could have like a hit song and people might listen to that shit and be like, that's a sick song. But if you did some stupid ass shit, if you're like a shitty person, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if people would, it tarnishes your name, right? And maybe I'll listen to the song because it's catchy, but it'll be tainted a bit because I'll be like, I don't really like you as a person, you know? So I think that, again, you might not get the most likes and views and follows right away, but I think that's the strongest, like, if you're a good person, like, and people like, or whatever, if people like you, they relate to you in depth, that's where you can finally build that connection that you want, which is, this is where I was going to get to before, is no matter how many likes and follows you have, what are you trying to transition that into? Obviously, people get stuck with, I just want the likes and follows. But what are you trying to transition that into? Unless your goal is just that, and then it doesn't matter how much money you make, it doesn't matter where you have no business, nothing's happening. So like my example is like, imagine 9gag, right? Or Hood Clips, or whatever, some of these Instagram channels have so many followers and likes and views and stuff, and that's amazing. But I personally would never really buy a 9gag t-shirt, or like I wouldn't really, they have a lot of attention, but I don't associate like any closeness with the brand of 9gag. I'm not like, oh, a 9gag t-shirt, I love 9gag so much, right? Like 9gag means so much to me. Whereas like, you know, I know Gary Vee is the king of this, or like other people that like game developers that I follow on YouTube, or other people that I'm connected to them personally.
Their community goes deep,
right? Like they might not have the most views and follows because it's not, you know, it's kind of like we could make a video right now where I go out in public and start slapping random people. That would get a ton of views. That'd be super popular. All the attention, all the views, all the likes.
And then you go to jail.
And then, but well, hypothetically, let's just say I didn't. Like, and then what? Now my brand and all those likes and follows are now based on me being that guy. And it's like, I mean, if you want to be like, there's a lot of people that like attention like that. Like, what's another, like, you know, there's this group where they go and they like, this is actually pretty funny, where they like go and try to pass a soccer ball to strangers and see who passes it. Most people ignore him, but the one guy that passes back, they're like, hey! You know,
like, okay, like, you know, we're talking about extremes here. That's one side of the spectrum. The other side is, you know, like you just keep on putting things out and you don't really care. And obviously, you know, somewhere in between are people who are just like, they don't know, they want to do something, and they are just looking at the information that they are given or that they found is telling them this is what they should be doing, right? So like, I think it's also a problem of like finding the right information and having the right mindset to find the right information, right? Like it's,
I think it just requires the mindset of what actually marketing is, and to us, like, the core of it is not so much of what you think it is when you think of if you imagine the stereotypical course of what you can think of what a marketing, let's say I'm gonna go take a course in marketing, what do you think that's gonna look like? You think it's gonna be like how to like make your billboard pop or something stupid like that, right? But that, to me, at least in today's day and age, with the way the social networks and all that stuff are working, is not really that anymore. You don't really, I know before you maybe in the past it would make sense, right? Like you would sell your product in the sense of like, we have the #1 best product. Come down to this store now to get your best product, right? And you have to like literally tell people what your product is, how good it is, come down. And I'm not saying that doesn't work still, right? But I think there's more of the imagery, like, because now the stuff in this kind of interesting world now. A lot of the stuff is just whatever, it's commodity. Like everybody, like what's the difference between this t-shirt and that t-shirt, and then it's what's on the t-shirt, right? Like the like this Nike check mark or whatever the brand is.
What's the other
right?
thing?
Or who like who's wearing it and stuff like that too, right?
So what's the brand that became super famous for just like Supreme, right? Like just the name, just the name.
Yeah. I forgot what now we brought my train of thought.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. But I don't remember what I was gonna say. But the point, obviously, like again, like I keep saying, is that core of like building that. It's not necessarily just awareness, but what do you want that brand to be built on? I guess. Oh yeah, we're talking about the mindset again too, right?
Yes.
So we'll go all the way back to what I was talking about with the game developer guy, is because it looks like this airy-fairy cloud thing that you don't know what it is, because you're just like, wow, this game just sold because everybody knew about it, which must have been marketing, right? Like he marketed his game so, and you could say, like, I'm not saying that's right, he marketed his game really well, and you know, and obviously there are specific strategies and tactics that you need to employ that will like boost, right? Which is like, for example, like using the right platforms, and then how you're using the platforms. Like for example, a podcast. Generally, like either if you're doing just audio, then you have to work your Spotify, and then how is that? I don't know how you're going to get the attention there, because usually to me, you would have like another thing that's big, and then you're like, hey, check out our podcast on Spotify, because it's hard to grow just on Spotify. But TikTok, for example, you realize has a lot of growth potential because the algorithm shows people random videos, whether you have followers or views or not. Mm-hmm. And then once, let's say you commit to TikTok, now you have to make the right content that fits TikTok. Yes. I can't just post a 2-hour movie in 15-second clips on TikTok and just say, hey, I'm doing TikTok.
You're at the mercy of the medium, essentially.
Yeah, but I think people get this wrong as well too, where they think I'm not a TikTok person, I'm not a Twitter person.
I'm one of those.
And I don't want to like use this platform because I don't really like that platform, or I don't understand how it works. But to me, like it's not that, like, because every platform, if you use it for long enough, like just casually as someone, not even someone who's trying to post, just trying to just explore it, just try to experiment with it, mostly consume, right? At some point you're gonna have a few slight realizations of like, oh yeah, this actually does hit a very human thing, like need of communication, right? So I talked about this before, like with Twitter, like again, that same thing, I'd be like, I don't really use Twitter, I don't really understand it very much, again, because I'm not on it, right? So I didn't put enough effort in, I didn't give enough time, but something happened, I can't remember, we've talked about this before, but and I can't remember what, something happened in the news or something, and that's when it kind of clicked. I was like, I want to know what the general public, all the way from like my friend or someone I don't even know, like just everybody that's right, like some average person, all the way up to like important people.
Yes.
What are they tweeting about? Like, what are their just general opinions?
Yes.
I don't want to read an article from every single person.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend like 2 hours trying to read.
You want to breeze through the zeitgeist.
Yeah, like just the general thoughts of like the average dude, all the way to, it's kind of like looking at reviews at a restaurant. You just want to see like how many stars.
Yeah, but like again, you're not like reading through each and everything. What you want to do is like thumb through like just the highlights.
That's why tweets are so short, right? They're just quick, like, it's kind of, I agree with this, I don't agree with this, I agree with this, I don't agree with this, right? Like, what do people generally think? And so that's where like that platform, even though I don't use it still, I understand what it's kind of used for. Like, and again, like all of these platforms, when they hit mainstream, it's because like they hit a very human, not need, but just like a pathway of communication.
Yes.
Right?
They found product market fit, right, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, I think so anyway, the point I was just making was like, when you feel like that, like, oh, I don't know how this platform works, and I'm not really like that. Like, if you just consume, it's the same way as like, you know, when you're a kid and you watched a lot of movies and you watched a lot of TV, or like the new kids when they watch YouTube. It's not like I'm a YouTube or whatever, this person. It's just like, if you consume it enough, you'll understand, okay, this is what it's kind of for.
Yes.
Right? Like they fit different niches of human communication.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like Instagram is like very visual.
Yes.
It's like, it's a visual thing. It's like videos and like pictures. And so like, but that's one way to communicate. It's like, hey, look, I'm at this really nice looking beach.
Yes.
Right? Look at this view. Right?
This reminds me of like another thing I want to talk about, which is like dating apps, and how like the current form of dating apps is
we'll finish this first, then we'll get there.
Sure.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
So when I think about this game developer trying to because he's same thing. He's like, I haven't started Instagram. I don't know how it works. I use Twitter, which is good.
Right.
But the mindset first is like, obviously you have to learn what the platform even is. Like, what can you do with it and what's it for? And I think you would start with like consumption, because that's how I would get into anything, right? Is it's like, why did I even want to make games? Because I play a lot of games.
Absolutely.
I play a lot of video games, so I know I have some idea of like what kind of game I would want to make, because I've played hundreds of video games in my life. So in the same way, like if anything.
You want to write books, read books. If you read good books, obviously. If you want to make movies, that's what.
Because it's like, how would you?
BFAs are like.
It's like if you've never read a book in your life, and someone's like, write a book, you'd be like, a what?
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah.
Okay. What is that? Right? Like, so.
I mean, it's like also if watching good content. Gives you an idea of, obviously, there is that the devil's advocate would say that essentially then you're limited to what everybody does, right? Like that dance thing.
You need to know what the rules are before you can break them.
Absolutely,
kind of, right?
absolutely.
What can be done?
Yes,
right.
Yes, you need to understand what the format is and how it can help you frame what you want to get across, and then you can break the rules when you feel
so
the
that's
need.
That's the first thing, is to just understand what it is, right?
Yes, absolutely, 100.
But then the mindset after that has to be, again, it depends on what your goals are. But I think a really good exercise that I always talk about is just getting used to posting, which is another thing I was going to segue into, which is like, because everybody thinks like I need to build the channel, and it's like I started from zero, so I got to slowly, and it's just so much work, and I just don't want to but I don't think you should even tackle it like that, because now again you're focusing too much on the views, follows, and whatever, like how many I need to get a lot of followers in order for whatever because everybody think that's the necessary step to go from whatever you don't have that you want to what you want, right? Like let's say, again, this really is very specific to what your goals are. So let's say again, this guy wants to sell his video game. You can sell you don't have to have a bajillion followers and likes and views in order to sell your video game necessarily. That's not a for sure, like you need, if you don't have a lot of millions followers and likes, you're never going to sell your game. That's not necessarily the case. But you can use all of these tools and mediums as tools to get to that point, right? But the views and likes and follows are not the necessary component. And so going back to what I was saying is like learning how to post, or just teaching yourself to post, to me is like, it's the same thing as getting over like going to high school with like a new haircut or like a pimple on your face or whatever you want to call it, kind of
or
thing,
even
right?
just being on camera, right? Like some people are shy with like camera shy, like I don't want to be in photos.
Like I said, I talk about this all the time, where people are like, you're so natural on camera,
like
and I'm like, dude, you should have seen the way I was when I started this, or whatever. Like almost no one's natural on camera to begin with. And so you
hate your voice. The first time you listen to your voice, like what you hear is like through your bones, so you don't even know like how shitty you sound as like a real human being. Try recording it, and then you'll see like, holy fuck, I don't sound the way I like hear myself. It's weird.
But I think like, because people are, the biggest thing that stops people from posting is like it's not like, how many times when you're like trying to post something, record something or whatever, when you're looking at your phone, whatever it is, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, you're like, I'm not ready. I got to edit it a little bit. It's not ready yet. It sounds a little off. I got to edit a little more. Let's chop, trying to like perfect it to the point.
And then the excuse is that I'm a perfectionist though, right? Like,
of course. I'm a perfectionist, right? Like I remember arguing with someone where they were saying like, no, I just want every post to be perfect. I don't even care if I have the likes, follows, views, or anything. I just want to make sure every post is perfect. I'm like, I mean, if that's the goal, like I said, if your goal, the end goal is just likes, views, follows at any cost, nothing else after that, then you do whatever you want, right? I don't really care. But usually the goal is to go from whatever you don't have to something you want, right? Which is, for this guy, if we're using this example, he's trying to sell his game. Right? And so just, again, the brand, I think, is the most important part of like them buying into you or your game or whatever the look
into
is.
Your struggle of building that game and then like, releasing it.
So with that example, I would, with Instagram, you're going to look at something visual, right? It's a very visual medium. So you post the artwork of your video game or whatever, right? Some videos of you, like a time lapse of you making the art or whatever it is. And you could start a podcast about talking about the process of what it's like to like be a developer. Did you want to wrap up or something?
Yeah, no. I was just saying, like, we've been talking about it for like a while, so like I was like trying to find the conclusion.
I wasn't sure if you want to like stop soon or you're like
conclusion to like that thing, because like we've been talking about that, but I think.
Well, no, just because a lot of people have this problem where they're very enamored by marketing.
Right.
And also what they also are like, I should post, or like they're afraid of them. I don't want to say afraid, but they're like you're saying they're reluctant to dive into like these mediums because they're just like, I'm like, this is what the 99% of literally everybody you're gonna hear. I'm just not a posty person. Like, you know, like some people like to post. Like, I don't really like to post.
Yes.
But you know what? To me,
it's not for me.
You know what? Yeah, it's not really my thing. Like, I don't like to like tell the world what I'm doing.
Yes. I'm super private.
Yeah, like I'm very private, right? Yes. But to me, that's like kind of saying like again, if I use a high school analogy, it's like I'd rather just wear a paper bag on my face and like no one sees me, and it's like that's fine.
Yes.
But like there's some things in life where like I know there's a reason why I like wear certain things. I put that cool sticker on my mic or whatever. There's like an expression. And sometimes you want to just wear your hair differently. Not because I'm trying to like pick up chicks. Not because I'm trying to like get the attention. Like, wow, you got a really nice haircut.
It's for you.
It's just like I just want to have a nice haircut. I'm wearing this chain because I think it's cool.
Good, right? Yeah.
Yeah, like it just you're just an expression of who you are. And I think that there's something very human. There's a need for just being yourself without caring.
Yes.
Right? And so because these mediums are also communication mediums, there's room to do that there. And that's where you can, this is why like journaling, like externalizing who you are is a very human need that I think people misunderstand when they think of these platforms.
Right.
And these are all platforms where you can do that, right?
I think though, like, you know, you have this insight, or rather we have this insight because we went to communication, right? Like we dissected what marketing is. We've looked at those media and those platforms.
I wouldn't say so because communications looks at everything very cynically, right? And like they didn't talk.
I mean, communications at SFU looks at things cynically.
You could say that maybe it gave us some of the tools to look at the mediums, but I just know like their perspective is nothing like what I'm saying.
That is true. I wouldn't say that
their perspective is
tools that they taught you at school were what came in handy in finding these insights.
Maybe, but they're the other way. Because I'm like we're the humans using the tools.
Yes.
Communications is the mediums is controlling us. Like we are getting fucked up from.
But again, it's a perspective.
Fucking us up,
it's
right?
a perspective.
Like what's Facebook doing to me? You know,
it's like psychology. A lot of it is perspective. The school of like the university that we went to is cynical in its perspective on communications and like
Facebook.
on like marketing and media, right? But as versus others have like a different perspective. They are like gung ho and like you know like on the other side of the spectrum.
That's something that I always want to like talk about against too sometimes because it's like I'm not arguing with it that like it's same thing with Instagram. Like I'm super addicted to Instagram sometimes too, where I just can't stop checking.
But I think we're both aware of the fact that it is a tool, and then how we use it ends up having an effect on us.
I could see how also that as well. Like it's both.
Yes.
Right. It's the same thing that Jim Jeffries. I don't know if this is a good analogy for this, but is his name Jim Jeffries, the comedian? Whatever?
Yeah, I think Jeffries. Something Jeffries. Yeah. I think Jim Jeffries, the Australian guy.
Yeah. And then where he talks about like the gun thing, right? The most famous bit that he has.
Yes.
And it's like on some level, like the gun is a tool, so it's the human. Like you decide whether you use the gun or not. Yep. But also, he's like, when you have a gun in your house, what is the percentage? You're 90% probably more likely to use the gun at some point if you want to if you want to kill yourself or like whatever it is. So it's both.
You have a gun now.
Yeah, exactly. You have a gun.
It's a choice you didn't have before, and now it's there.
What's the likelihood of you using the gun now? Well, way higher because you have one. Whoa, what do you know? Right? So it's both, right?
Yes.
Like so it's a tool.
Yes.
That you can choose. You have agency there.
Yes.
But I also understand how some of these mediums like Facebook and Instagram are specifically trying to target particular neural pathways in your brain, which can be very cynical from the point of like the person who designed that algorithm or whatever it is.
I mean, there's product managers sitting on the other side trying to figure out how to keep you on their app for the longest period of time, right? Like whether it is Facebook, Google, YouTube, Instagram, like all of them, right? That's the business they're in, right? Like the best and the brightest minds currently in the world are essentially working on trying to keep your eyeballs stuck to whatever the fuck you're watching.
But I think also just being aware of that, and also I'm not saying that is not a cynical thing. I'm not saying that's an okay thing, and I'm not saying there shouldn't be laws and whatever. I'm just saying it's not like their goal is complete just kill everyone on Earth right as soon as possible. Like then it'd be like, okay, now maybe we shouldn't use the app because they're trying to like literally kill. They're trying to give everyone cancer as fast as possible. Maybe that's what they're trying to do because they're trying to keep us on the phone so that we get cancer in our brains because we're just on the. You know, if that was the goal, then I'd be like, oh, okay, that's ridiculous. But if really their goal is just be on the app as long as possible so we can sell you more things and like buy, and I'm like that's also terrible. But I'm aware of it and I don't really care.
Yes, but you're aware of it. 90% of the people are not. Also, their agendas keep changing, and we don't know what those agendas are. That is like one of the problems with it. But obviously, I'm on your side, which is like essentially.
As long as you're aware of it, you gotta be aware of it for sure.
You have to practice like critical thinking and self-awareness, right? Like when you're using any of these things.
Yeah. But anyway, going back to the main thing I was getting that before this was just I think posting it, again fulfills like a natural innate need of just human expression of externalizing who you are like that because that's just something you need.
And again, it's
right?
like the 2022 way of like expressing yourself, right?
Like what happens when you go to therapy? Is you externalize your thoughts.
Sure,
right?
Sure.
Like that's,
I mean, like some people would posit that they don't want to do therapy in public. So.
Oh no, I'm not. I use the extreme example.
Okay. Okay,
but I'm saying all I'm saying again the same thing. There's a human need to externalize stuff within.
Yes.
Why
about
is it
yourself?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Right?
Self-expression. 100%.
And I would even say that to a certain extent for like I'm not going to speak for everybody.
Right.
But there is
Speaking
something.
for yourself.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people would agree with this.
Yeah.
Is if you. Like, because you're saying, for example, in therapy, it's like, because I want to do it in private only to my trusted person, which is
understandable.
Totally, with certain things. 100%. Again, there's lots of things that I will never say. I'm sure, whatever. I can't think of any like things. I'm sure there's lots.
There's private things, right?
But yeah, of course, right? But the things that you can express, the
things that you want to express, right? Like there are certain things today in 2022. The way you show your reputation or who you are is digitally. Like if I want to know who the F like Curtis is, I will go online and like Google you, right? Like I will essentially try and find out something about this human being which kind of gives me an idea, an inkling about who they are, and then make my perception about them.
It's a tool like that, right? Like I was saying. But I think what I was getting at was the more that you can feel free. So this is why you, for example, it's the best when you're around a group of friends that you can trust, all of them.
Okay.
Right? Rather than, when you go into a new friend group, like your friends' friends, and you're like, I don't know everybody yet, so it's a little uncomfortable.
Yes.
But in those environments where you know everybody and everybody knows you, so you don't have to worry about it. You can just be yourself. That's where you feel the most at ease and comfortable, and the most you, the most human. And so like the more you can break those barriers in even the public situation, there's a lot of exercises like this. Like, again, I think of.
I mean, a lot of people who struggle with public speaking have to go on speak in front of people. So
there's an exercise.
Desensitizing yourself.
Right. Exactly. Right. Where like you go in public and just like imagine this exercise. You go in public with your finger in your nose or something, or you just draw a dick on your head, and you just go in public and try to talk to people. Because you're already there. You're already the worst things happen. You're embarrassed. You're already embarrassing, right? You're already there. Like, and you just I have a dick on my head. That's and so like you're saying,
this is pickup artist shit. But there's also like what's his name? The 4-hour work week guy.
Yeah, Tim Ferriss.
Ferriss.
But the point isn't because that exercise has nothing to do do with picking up girls.
Oh yeah, absolutely
right?
not.
It's the point is to not feel so like,
Yes.
oh, if I do the wrong, if I say the wrong thing to a girl, the whole world just she's gonna kill me or something. I don't know what you think's gonna happen. But it's the same like public speaking thing. Like you know, like you stutter
it's fear.
Yeah, like you stutter for a second in public speaking,
fears.
you're gonna like freak out, like, oh my god, I stuttered. They're gonna make fun of me or something, right? So getting over that, and same thing with the social media thing is, it's such a human thing to just be yourself, right? And so the more you can get over that, and then again, then after you get past that point, then you can start to look at like, okay, what types of content will lead me to where I want to go, which again doesn't necessarily mean views and follows, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, we can. That was a long-winded.
No, but I think you know you rewind it and like brought them back to speed on like what you were thinking about.
I just think it's a big thing that people don't understand. Like they don't think about it in this perspective, at least.
I think a lot of people don't think about.
I'm just not really like a poster. Like I don't really.
But
really,
you know, like I think this extends also to like dating apps, right? Like again, we probably might want to talk about this in the next episode, but like I'll just set it up. Essentially, what I'm thinking about is dating apps are set up in a medium where they are like picture based. So if you're not photogenic, if you don't have like a good description, if you're not witty, if you don't know how to use that medium to convey, you know, self-express, like I am a viable, human being for you, I think you are then unsuccessful on that application, which, but again, like the whole purpose of that application is to keep you, make you pay, and like, you know, it also, I think, lends to this almost what's the word I'm looking for, callous way of like, you know, having relationships where you are just like not really invested because like, oh, there's always another like, you know, person at like my fingertips, which I think has its connotations and, you know, effects long term. But yeah, I think we should wrap up here and then like pick up this topic next time.
Yes, to be continued. That's a good topic though.
Yes. So yes, that. Awesome. God.
Thanks for listening. That's good. I only had like 2 minutes left on my phone anyway.